Now, first of all, let's start with your journey, because I think you've got quite again, we've spoken in the past about how you got to the position you got to at Red Bull. But first of all, I guess quickly, to anyone who wasn't watching the live stream, what was your job at Red Bull?
Yeah, so I spent 6 years at Red Bull as a senior systems engineer, which is basically a fancy way of saying being responsible for all the computer systems and like the telemetry data feeds, GPS data feeds, connectivity between the FIA and FOM. So a lot of stuff basically involving computers.
And how did you, because I know your route to that position, because you just assume if you're going to work at an F1 team, you've got to go to university, you've got to get a big degree, then you've got to get into Formula Student, all that kind of stuff. But I know your route was very different. So how did you go from, from I don't know, like college age to then getting into Red Bull? What was that journey like?
Yeah, so I'm sort of probably more proud than what I should have been that I'm a college dropout. So I did initially start college, but it was, I just didn't get on with it. Like the whole sitting down in a classroom and reading and things like that. For some people, it just doesn't work. And it didn't work for me. So I left my college course within like 3 months. And then I took a very glamorous full-time job at PC World.
Nice.
Yep, big up PC World.
Was this before Curry's PC World?
Yeah.
PC World.
Yeah, this was
throwback.
Way before then, Tommo. And yeah, so while I was there, I did evening classes one night a week in something called Cisco networking, which will mean something to people out there.
I've heard of Cisco.
Yeah.
Are they Red Bull sponsors at the moment?
No, they
McLaren.
Cisco WebEx, which is
McLaren.
Yeah, McLaren.
No, rung a bell.
Yeah, and I did that one evening a week, and that was much more manageable to me. I could focus on that. And then from there, I got a job working in finance in London, IT support.
Yeah.
And when I went to the interview, I was so nervous, didn't think I'd get it. But as soon as I walked through the door, it turns out the guy that I was on a college course with was the guy that was interviewing me.
Nice.
So yeah, I managed to social network my way into a job.
Who you know.
Exactly. And then from there, I did, how many years was it? It must have been 4 or 5 years working in London in like the finance industry. And then one day I got a phone call from a withheld number, and I hate answering withheld calls. I think it's just a British thing. Everyone hates doing.
If you really need to get hold of me, you'll call me back.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
If it's that desperate. Otherwise, you're going on...
Exactly. Leave it
on missed, mate.
But for whatever reason, I was sitting at my desk in London, and I just thought, I'm going to answer this one.
There was something about the phone that day. It was, there was just... Had you had a Red Bull that day? Maybe that was it.
Oh, maybe. No, I think shamefully, I probably drank a Monster that day, to be perfectly honest.
Actually, yeah, when I had you on my podcast ages ago, you had a Monster.
Yes,
you were in your Red Bull garms, but you had a Monster Energy.
Well, at that point, I wasn't being paid by Red Bull, so...
True. Your allegiances were gone. Okay.
So yes, I got the phone call, and it was...
Was it Helmut Marko?
No, it wasn't, no.
Okay.
God, no. Jeez Louise. And it was an agency working on behalf of Red Bull Racing. They were like, we've seen your CV on LinkedIn. We like it. Do you fancy coming in for an interview at Red Bull Racing? Wow. And although she couldn't tell me at the time, she wasn't allowed to tell me what the team was.
So she could say F1 team.
Yeah.
But
she told me it was an F1 team.
Specifically. Ooh.
An F1 team in Milton Keynes. And I was like, well, that's Red Bull then, isn't it?
Yeah, because I know everyone's close, but no one else is in Milton Keynes, right? It's just Red Bull.
No.
Yeah.
So I could deduce that for myself. Okay. I went to the interview, got on really well with the guys there, and got the job.
Mad.
Yeah, it was.
I just think that your story, and the reason I found, when we first spoke and you told me about your progression was that when I was at kind of college age, like I wanted to be a motorsport mechanic. That was the kind of, out of secondary school, that's what I wanted to do. But at the time I just didn't see any route because I was good academically, but I wasn't good enough to get onto like a, aerodynamics, masters at, Brunel or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I think what this does show is that if you do want to get a job in F1, I'm sure there's plenty of people watching, listening, who have had ambitions, maybe serious, maybe not, but like to work within the sport. But how many different roles and responsibilities and jobs and opportunities are there at an F1 team?
Hundreds. So, I mean, you can look at, let's say, HR, legal, accounting, all the way down to catering.
Yeah.
If it needs doing, there's an opportunity to get into F1 that way. Facilities, manufacturing, it's only really when you look at the hardcore sort of mechanics and aerodynamics that you're not going to do that without a degree.
And I guess they're the most visible jobs, right?
Yeah.
So you could be forgiven for looking at it and being like, oh, I just need to, be super intelligent and go to a super good university. But actually there are other ways in. Like if you're passionate about Formula One.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I mean, if you want to be an aerodynamicist, go to university by all means. But if you want to work in F1, and let's say maybe you aren't that way inclined to get, like you say, into the best university, maybe it just didn't work out for you, which is fine, There are other avenues to get into F1, because I think as soon as people don't have that university degree, they think, okay, well, that's that then. But it's not true at all.
And what was your relationship like with the sport before you worked in F1? Did you follow it at all?
Yeah, I did, yeah. Probably, I can say it now, because obviously I don't work in F1, but I was more of a fan of the World Endurance Series, like the 124 and all that.
Yeah.
But I did watch the Vettel years at Red Bull, and I never saw myself working for an F1 team, but I did sort of always say to myself, if I was going to get into an F1 team, I'd probably like to work for Red Bull or Ferrari. Logistically speaking, realistically, all I could do is Red Bull. So it worked out all right.